Thank you, Cosmo, and thank you for all the readers today. I'm just going to give a few words to kind of set the context for this Christmas. And this talk today is about a piece of liturgy called the Christmas Blessing. You're probably going to recognize the Christmas Blessing. One of the reasons I want to talk about it is because I love to give blessings. It's one of the best parts of my job. And for those of you who don't come to church regularly, the blessing's the bit at the end where I get to kind of just say a prayer over the congregation as vicar. And it's kind of like a prayer gift. It's like a prayer gift from God to you all, and I get the privilege to be able to say it. But I've got mixed feelings about blessing you with the Christmas blessing. And I'm going to tell you why. This is what the Christmas blessing is. It's going to be said up and down the country tonight and in the days to come. If you have the next slide, please, Latham. And it's beautiful. It goes like this. May the eagerness of the shepherds, the perseverance of the wise men, the obedience of Joseph and Mary, and the peace of the Christ child be you this Christmas. And you can see why it's so popular. Isn't it beautiful the way all the characters of the Nativity, this lovely story, come together? And we get to play a part in this. The blessing gets to say, join in, become like a shepherd, become like the wise men, become like Joseph and Mary. Except the problem with this is that might, on first reading, seem like more of a curse than a blessing. Surely the only thing that these people, the shepherds, the wise men, Joseph and Mary, the only thing they have in common is that Christmas came as a complete messy disturbance in their lives. They were getting on with it. Life was busy enough. And then Christmas came along. The one thing they have in common is this holy disturbance. And now, at the end of the service, I'm going to bless you with a similar disturbance. But the first gift, the first prayer gift from God to you through me is this. The next slide, please. The eagerness of the shepherds. In our next reading, we're going to meet these shepherds. But the real Jesus shepherds of that time, they would have been far less eager than the beautiful nativity shepherds you're going to see at schools this week. Because anybody who's voted Mr. or Mrs. Eager at Bethlehem High School in the 1st century AD, they weren't going to become a shepherd. They were going to go become a merchant or a scribe or do some other high-powered job. If you are a shepherd, you are not the eager person. You're the one trying to make ends meet. You're probably the one working a couple of jobs. You're probably the one who the world has passed over. And you're probably just looking for a quiet night, looking after your sheep. Until this moment comes where that passivity, that waiting in the dark, turns to eagerness. Then comes the holy disruption. Angels, songs, good news, light. And then the eager abandonment of plans, of herds, of fields, and off to see the Prince of Peace. How eager are you this Christmas? Are you eager to be here? Or are you counting the minutes until New Year where life can get back to normal? I think it's a good thing to be blessed with eagerness this Christmas. A desire, a yearning, a heart for something that makes life worth living. And so at the end of this service, this prayer gift might be for you. A gift to turn something that's a drudge into something that is eagerly to be desired. The shepherds were eager, and their night plans were ruined. But our next characters, the stakes are raised because the disruption was far more intense for the wise men, which is why they need, and maybe we need too, the next slide please, the gift of perseverance. What set these wanderers, these wise wanderers, apart from the rest, was not only they had the latest stargazing technology and the latest way to discern the signs of the times, but they had the determinedness to see this through. How many others had seen the star? How many others had interpreted its meaning, and how many others set out? But on this quest, our wise men were the ones that got the reward. The picture of our contemporary wise man is nature photographer Doug Allen. And this picture is taken on hour 9 of day 5 of a 3-year photo shoot in the Himalayan mountains. If you saw Planet Earth 1 Mountains episode, you've met Doug Allen. For 3 years, in a hut in his hide, looking down the lens of his camera, he was waiting, watching, persevering, because he had heard a rumor that in that part of the world, waiting to be photographed, was a snow leopard. Next slide, please. 6 months later, the reward of his perseverance, the thing that made it all worthwhile, a glimpse of something magical. How many of us have looked out into the dark night and just got a hint or an intuition that there is more to life? How many of us have seen in the stars or on the face of a loved one? How many of us have heard the rumor that this life doesn't just end? That this life doesn't just peter out into meaninglessness? But we've heard the rumor of a God of love. We've heard the whisper that we can encounter this Jesus here today. And for many, that has been the start of a quest, a search for meaning, a persistence required to go the distance to meet this God, just as the wise men persevered through sand, desert, and mountain to come. I'm afraid tonight that God hasn't given you the angels that the shepherds received to point the way. And he hasn't given you the bright star of Bethlehem. But what God has sent is me to tell you, and the Bible to show you, and the songs that you can sing, to say this much: the Prince of Peace has come. He has come because he loves you. He has come to make your life rich, full of meaning, full of purpose. He has come to bestow his great love on you and his peace upon the world. Start the quest. It will excite eagerness at first. It will excite joy when you meet this Jesus. And then when the bumps come along the road, it will take perseverance. But finally, it might just take the hardest thing of all in this great blessing. It might take the obedience of Joseph and Mary. It's hard to imagine anybody who experienced more divine disruption than this holy family. This young girl looking forward to a marriage to her fiancé, looking forward to a normal life. I wonder what Mary's expectations were 9 months before the setting of our nativity. But then through the angels and the pregnancies and the shame of her culture and the censuses and the whole no room at the inn routine and then going to the stable, she must have been wondering, is all of this worth it? Is this blessing a good thing? And then, when the moment comes and the baby is born and that peace reigns, another chapter is opened. And through the blessing of Mary's and Joseph's obedience, life and light, the Prince of Peace comes into the world to save it. To save me. To save you. One thing that unites all these characters is disruption. But the second thing that unites them is a life-changing peace. Here's somebody who wasn't at the nativity scene and the stable that night, but a blessing to my household at least. Pictured is the Mandalorian of Star Wars and Disney Plus fame. Here is a man who's got a great starship. He's got a rising kind of career in just being the most kind of awesome person in the West of Star Wars universe, surrounded by this armor that makes him practically indestructible and just going about his life. But there's one thing that can get through the armor to his heart as he meets this tiny child, Grogu. And his life is turned upside down by this one child who can go through to his heart. And whilst the first part of the season is showing the huge disruption as this man's life is turned upside down, the second half of the series shows the richness, the joy, the beauty that this little child has brought into his life. And so I encourage, I invite, I bless you tonight to know a similar disruption. To put parts of your life and love upside down. Because through this Christ child, through the love shown in this manger, your life will not be the same, but may it be much richer. The final slide, please. May this Christmas, you know that through eagerness, perseverance and obedience comes a depth and a quality of love and life that radiates from you, that makes your life rich. And may you know the final part of this blessing, the deep peace, joy, and love of your God who came as a baby. May the eagerness of the shepherds, may the perseverance of the wise men, may the obedience of Joseph and Mary, and the peace of the Christ child be yours this Christmas. And may it lead to a rich, meaningful life. Amen.